Hey everyone, this is Zephyr, the new member of the Baileywiki team, here with a highly requested video on how to set up your own modular town scenes. First, going into our scene directory, we'll click Create Scene and use a name we want, like New Modular Town. Then we'll go into the background image to use an image already included in the module. In your user data, under Modules, you'll see folders for all of the Baileywiki modules. The one that we want is Maps Premium Towns. I'm going to be using a town here, so I'll click in Town Square and then go to Terrains. In Terrains, we have all of these different options, including spots. So make sure that you're not using a spot, such as this one. Instead, you're going to use a full scene background. I think I want this grass one, and real quick, I'll show you the few different views you can use. There's thumbnail, list, and the icon view we're in now. In list, you can see all of the files by name. Thumbnail, it's a small image and the name. I've selected my background. I don't need to do any other changes. I'm going to go ahead and save the scene and accept the change in dimensions. Now that we have the scene, we're going to go ahead and add some buildings. So in my compendiums, I'm going to go to the Baileywiki Maps Town compendium in the Actors area. When you first open it up, it'll have the hashtag CF entities from compendium folders. Wait a moment for those to register. If they don't, then double check that you have compendium folders installed. When you first open the compendium, it will look like this with a single folder. Clicking on it will expand it out. Now I'm going to look through the different buildings, specifically the rural ones, because this is a small town. Class 2 is a bit more middle class, and Class 3 is a little less opulent. Here I'm selecting the different buildings and dragging them in, just things that I think make sense in a very small town. You'll notice that there are the blue pop-ups from Token Attacher. It's important that before moving any items from Token Attacher, you wait for that confirmation that the prefab is ready to use. Otherwise, you might break links and need to use the delete broken links macro from the example macros compendium provided with Token Attacher to get rid of those. Now that I have my buildings in place, I want to double check where the doors are. So here I'm using the selection tool from the tiles toolset just to hover over these and have the roofs disappear for me as a GM. This lets me know where I should have doors and make sure there's entrances that make sense. Now I'm just positioning all of the buildings throughout the town to make sense with their doors. When you have the control token selected using your actor selection tool, you can rotate it by holding Shift and scrolling with the mouse wheel, just like any other actor. You can also hold Shift and tap the arrow keys to orient the token in that direction. Note that the tokens and the buildings themselves don't necessarily line up in the same direction. I check it really quick with an actor to make sure that the walls are in place. Now I'm activating Quick Edit mode from Token Attacher. This is also in that example macros compendium I mentioned earlier. Here, I'm moving all of the control tokens with Quick Edit outside of the play area to keep things less cluttered when I'm DMing. It's good practice when you move the control token using Quick Edit to move it back and forth. Now that I have my other buildings in place, I want to link this to a map from the Premium Maps module. So I'm finding a facade, and here is the facade for the manor wall, and I'm going to link that into the ruined mansion map that I've already imported. Go ahead and rotate it and place it where I like in the scene. You'll notice that the map pin says unknown, and that's because it didn't have a set text label. So I'm going ahead and assigning a journal entry that my players have observer or owner permissions, such as stare. This can be imported from the journal entries. I'm changing the text label to something descriptive, like to the mansion. And here you can also change the icon, like something like a castle. I'm able to do all these things with the map pin without using quick edit mode. Now I need to set up my multi-level token area. You notice I have to use quick edit mode to be able to edit that. Using the drawing tool, I go to the multi-level token area and I type in a descriptive teleport identifier. This is needed to link the two teleport zones. I go ahead and copy that so I can paste it in later. Now going to Mansion Ruined Level 1 that I've already imported, I'm going to create a new multi-level token zone so that the tokens can actually go in and out of the map. Going into Multi-Level Token tab, I make it an in-out with that same teleport identifier. Then I go ahead and update the drawing. If you want to change the line thickness to make it easier for yourself or harder to see it, then you can do that in the drawing tools as well. This time I realized I do want this activated by a map pin. I highly recommend this. It helps make sure players don't accidentally teleport when they're not expecting to, and it helps prevent any other inadvertent token moving. And I'm going to drag in a map pin using stare again because it's got the permissions I want. And I'm going to change the text label to the town so that it's really obvious for my players where it goes. Now I'm going to test this with my test actor. You can do this in a player actual window, but this also works for this purpose. As a GM, note that you won't follow your tokens. And here I realized that I forgot to actually save the teleport identifier when I first edited this. So I went back and updated that, and now it works fine. And my token is now in the mansion. Again, as a GM, you don't automatically follow, so you do have to click on the scene. Here I realized that with the multi-level token drawing being only 1 square wide, I can't have a token in the same space as the map pin and activate it. So I'm expanding that zone. And now the token can stand next to it, click the map pin, and go through. Now, I want to have the backgrounds here match my town. My town has a grassy background, so I want to switch it to grass instead of snowy. I go into the scene backgrounds, and it automatically opens to the folder for the snowy ruined mansion, and I just select the grass one instead. It's a little hard to see, so I'm turning on the light. As the light comes up, I can tell that everything looks good here, and I want to go ahead and add that same background to the Mansion Ruined Level 1. So I go there, and I go to configure this. This one is linked to the free version of the module. This should be fixed in the next hotfix, so don't worry about that. But I'm going into, again, my user data, modules, Baileywiki maps, premium, maps, and then in Mansion, I first click on Ruined inadvertently, but it's the terrains that I want. That has the backgrounds in it. And here I can select that grass again and save my changes, and now there's this nice same matching green background. With the linking taken care of, it's time to add some more life and navigation to the town. So here I'm using the tile picker to add a little square or meeting place to the town. Again, Baileywiki Maps Towns Premium, and going into Maps, Town Squares, Terrains, and this is back where we first selected the background for our scene. And I'm going to use this spot. I'm going to try out a few different ones and see which one I like. Now that I have that, I'm going to go back into the tile browser, and within the Maps Premium in the terrains, there is the MISC 2, and within that is roads and paths. So I'm selecting a few different paths here and adding them in. You'll notice that I can use the tile tools to drop the Z level beneath other tiles. That way it looks like the dirt is kind of blending underneath that square. Since I envision this to be a springtime setting, I'm going ahead and using kind of muddy cobblestone textures for this really small town. Maybe this village was staff for the family when the mansion was still inhabited. So either way, it's not going to have a very major road system. You'll notice that I'm using the tile settings windows to rotate things. This is because while you can hold shift and scroll your mouse wheel to rotate things, they do so at a 45-degree increment on tiles. If you want something that is at a 5-degree or 15-degree increment, then you'll have to use the actual settings there. So it's a bit of a force of habit. It would definitely be faster in this case for me to use the scroll wheel. You can also mirror images by changing either the height or the width value to the negative. Then it will reverse it along that axis. I'm just lining up all of my tiles here. Everything is looking good, and I'm happy with it. Now that I'm happy with where all the roads are, I'm going to go ahead and add in some more life to the town. I'm grabbing trees from the wilderness under temperate, and I'm grabbing benches from the tactical and some other miscellaneous things like the notice board and the crates. Now that I'm happy with how things are laid out, I'm going to use Quick Edit to again move those control tokens out of the way to keep it less cluttered. Now that I have everything in place, I'm going to go ahead and wall off the edge of the scene so that as my players move around, they're not able to see beyond that. And I've noticed this strange wall sticking out, and here, that's a part of the facade, so make sure you double check all of your walls and they're in the right place. So I go ahead and use Quick Edit mode to get rid of that. Now it's nice and neat and clean. And now I'm adding another multi-level token zone, and this will go to my main road so that players can connect to it either by clicking on a landing page or navigating from another scene. This is completely optional, but it's a good way to connect to the rest of your world. All right, that looks good. I'm doing another test with my character here just to see that walls and everything line up where I expect them to, and I'm liking where stuff is at. Your vision might be a little different if you have modules such as perfect vision, but this is a good way to test your walls. Now finally I'm doing cleanup. I'm moving all of the actors I imported into my delete folder I made, and I just hit delete all, and that purges all of them. Deleting all of your excess actors when you're done with building is a good practice so that it keeps your performance running well. You do mitigate some of those performance issues by having your actors in folders, but it's still best to have as few actors as possible in your actors directory. Alright, I hope that this has clearly shown to you some of the great ways you can use the Modular Towns system to build out a scene quickly. In the matter of about half an hour, I was able to put together this nice little small town connected to a ruined mansion, a perfect place for a side quest or a one-shot. This has been Zephyr. If you have any questions or want any more pointers, I'm always happy to talk in the Discord. Check the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and have fun building.